legs quiet, you're sitting high enough that you have space here at the side waist, side ribs. Take your glasses off, join your palms. So you are in your home cave. And the start of this practice.
Devon,
Yes.
I can't hear you. I don't know if it's everybody or if it's just me. This is gay.
No, I will sit closer. Can you hear me?
Yes, much better, much better.
Take this now. Sit. Sit tall. Shoulders broad, hips down. Join your palms in front of your sternum. Eyes quiet. Mind quiet. Ears quiet. Make yourself still. So still that you can hear your own breathing with the inner ear. In this way, become mindful. Mindfulness is, in a sense, becoming aware of your mind and its process. In this way, pay homage to be remembering, be mindful of the root teacher of this practice, Patanjali. Bow your head. Release your hands and raise your head and open your eyes. Now, I'm going to turn this so you can see better. Everybody, you need a strap. You actually need a long strap. I'm going to show you, I have a lot of straps. This is a typical 6-foot strap. And if you put that strap around your foot and then drop the other knee, you may or may not have enough room to do that, to pull your knee up. If you don't have enough room to do that, to stand on the strap and fully bend, I don't mean paint forward, I don't mean bend one knee to bend the other. You gotta be fully straight. You could try this on the floor. You might not fall over that way. This for me is too short. It looks long enough, but it's just too short for my range of motion. I'm 5'5", 5'5". So what I do is I tie two straps together, in which case it is entirely too long, but I've got the option of shortening it to my dimensions to suit me. Okay? Not painfully, but firmly. So that's the virtue of two 6-foot straps. Now, an 8-foot strap would solve the problem. And many of you do have an 8-foot strap. But you got to get this because your work depends on a working large enough, but not too large, small enough, but not too small. It's the 3 bears approach. 3 bears and 1 cat. So the cat's gonna go. The cat is liquid, so it's hard to get liquid to move. Okay, so first thing, lying on the floor, of course, that's the easiest. Okay, now cat is not liquid. Put your left foot in the strap you have arranged for yourself. Put your left foot in, and as the left leg comes down, your right knee goes through it. And where the strap is on your foot is at across the base joints, so that if you see this, you can push it or pull it. You can do things to increase and loosen the tension on the strap. If it's back at the arch of the foot, you can't do that. So this is the only tricky place on this strap is around your straight leg toe. So bend up the right knee, and Mia can use the remaining strap to secure the lifted leg foot. I have a whole length of extra strap or a second strap. Now the point here is with this tension on your top thigh and you pushing for straighten your left leg, and there should be a draw on the right thigh. The strap should be tight enough to pull. And if it isn't, then tighten it a little bit. You arrange so you get some traction. Now move that strap. You can see on my dark colored leggings that this strap actually covers the hip socket thigh bone. Okay. So this is where at least one of our Karen ladies needs to be careful of the hip. Release the abdomen. Keep your shoulders and hips square so your torso makes a rectangular shape, not a trapezoid with one hip higher than the other. Now stretch that straight leg fully. Pull on your lifted foot with the strap and push against it. Each of these instructions I'm giving, in theory, is done with the arms and legs. In practice, we tend to do it with the breath. And after doing it, we relax and we feel the effect. So once you make these movements, you've got to stay for a bit and see what the response of the breathing is. Now you're pulling on your thigh with the strap and stretching your one leg up and the other leg down, both legs stretching. So there's an influence, especially in the pelvic region. Release, come out. Be there for a bit. Don't immediately switch sides. Just stretch two legs out and notice. We'll call this a third position, the intermediate position, in which you get to examine the effects. Now, change sides. Everything you do has an effect. This we know. Get that strap around the base joints where you can actually manipulate the pressure on that strap, not lose pressure. On the toes, you can maintain, you can adjust to maintain the pressure. Left leg comes up, left knee can bend well, and the left thigh comes up. And each time you come to a resting point or a stopping point, like the knee drawn up to the chest, or the leg finally straight, or the shoulders finally in position, tugging on the strap, or the legs finally. Each of these transition points in the arms and legs should be observed for its effect. If you pull your shoulders to the floor just in order to get the shoulders to the floor, there won't necessarily be, or there will be effect A. There'll always be an effect on the breath. It's not that there will be no effect. Will it be positive or negative? But if instead you perhaps bend your elbows and widen the collarbones as you draw those shoulders to the floor, so you have this kind of lateral expansion that you're leading in the shoulder in order to get the shoulders down. Don't have to bend forever, but you have to get that structure in the pose and see then what happens to your breathing. Straight arms, muscular pull, or bent elbow, more delicate, or some combination. Maybe you really do need more shoulder blade getting into the back to get more space. Maybe if you work those shoulder blades anymore, you get the opposite effect. You close space. Release, come out. Do you understand? Everything you do has an effect. Roll to your side, come up. Same pose, but to the side, Supta Padang Kushtasana 2. This may require some, I'm trying to untwist my strap, might require some adjustment of strap length, because taking the leg to the side makes a different use of the hip. Here's another little thing to pay attention to. It's nice when adjusting your leg to be able to have the buckle near you so you can get at it without doing too much to mess up the pose. So I can loosen it easily or tighten it easily with the buckle close to me. Anyway, right leg is in. All this long free strap is at my disposal here. I've got that base joint of my left big toe where it can pull on the strap. Now, this leg should not be pulled up to your hip. Those who can do that don't. Keep your leg vertical and keep tension on that strap. Leg goes off to the side. On both straps, the right foot strap and the left foot strap. Keep control through the straps, not counting the legs. Keep control through the legs. Now, use of the strap, right? Everything you do has an effect. Use of the strap is affecting your pose. So I want you to raise that leg back up to vertical. Now, lose the left foot strap, not the right foot, but the left foot strap, the floor foot strap. And then catch the strap with the right hand, and take Supta Paramkushtasana again with that hip traction. Go to the right. Take this strap with the right hand, go to the right. Okay. Now you had the moment where you felt the leg vertical with traction, and then without traction, and there was an effect. Now you're taking the leg off to the side. You've already had the strap pulling traction experience. Now you've got the classical experience. Work to keep that breath as free and penetrating as possible. Inhale, come up, take the strap in the left foot again. And repeat the pose. And if the hips begin to ache or the sacroiliac begins to feel funny, you should stop doing this. Don't think it's going to get better if you just keep pulling. Don't aim for a breakthrough. That should feel good and helpful, or if it feels bad and unhelpful, you stop. Or loosen that strap. Off you go to the side after letting this traction register in the breath. In ordinary people, I was saying this yesterday and I don't know if it was clear. I'm going to try again today. You might say there's two kinds of breath. Take the leg to the side, Supta 2. Take the leg laterally to the side. One is the breathing pattern of doing, of moving the arms and legs, making a pose happen. And once you've made the pose happen and you are stable, a new breathing pattern arises. It's the breathing pattern of stability. Right? That's what happens when you reach a point where you are not doing, you're just being. Inhale, come back up. Take both legs straight, observe. And then roll to your side, come up sitting. So that was the easy part, whatever that means. Now, if you were so blessed as to have a rope wall or a bar wall, you would make use of it now. But this strap and any wall is going to be the substitute. You might need a brick, or 2 bricks, and you might need a chair if you need more support. Some people, if there is a balance issue, a chair works. We can either be like this or like this, and others, it's ordinary support is 2 bricks. Okay. And you need yourself at a leg distance from the wall with your standing leg vertical and the lifted leg horizontal, and your bricks high enough that you are comfortable and able to manage that pose. Now you're standing on the right leg first. So the strap, goes around your left foot and knee, and it comes up and it goes to the wall, and you arrange that standing leg at the vertical. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the strap just by bending the standing leg and tighten the lifted leg. So when I straighten both legs, I've got the proper traction. I'm going to adjust it some more, and now it's more proper. So after all that moving around, go for it now. You've seen, if you have questions, turn your mute off and ask, but if you don't, give it a try. You want that lifted leg right on the wall, and the standing leg draws that hip square, not beyond square. And again, for those with very tight hips, injured hips that have extra new parts, you be careful about levelness and squareness, and don't overdo the tension. So once you're in and stable, what happens to the breath? And if you adjust your belt to whatever means optimum, we're going to say the definition of optimum is the optimum pelvic breath. Pelvic breath that freely connects to the abdomen and the chest. Come out, change sides. See, this is the pose that resembles what you did lying on your back. If we had a longer class, I would add the extension of arms overhead on a chair seat like a complete Vera 3. So if you want to try this someday later after this with your hands on a chair seat stretching forward, hips square, hips level, that lifted leg foot, your right foot points straight down, heel straight up. And come out. Same strap, but now it's the leg to the side. I do suggest that you use a wall behind you. It's just so much more pleasant in terms of being able to breathe. So your right foot goes through the strap. This is my right foot. You guys are going this way. Your right foot will go through the strap. Your left foot will get in the strap. Both knees will bend as you go to your side, and you have either a chair, maybe you're resting your elbow on the chair seat. And once you come up, stretch that leg. Now your other arm can rest on the wall, it can rest on your hip. If you're lucky like me, it can go overhead and find another wall. So spend here in this Chandrasana. Don't cut your patient off, but spend enough time that you can feel the effect of that draw. And you can also, by all means, loosen or lose the strap entirely as either, part 2 of the pose, or you can keep the strap if it is pleasant, helpful. As you spend time, once you have stabilized the arms and legs, they are less your attention, less the focus of your attention, and the effect of those actions is your focus. What is happening to that breath? So in the doing part of the pose, your muscles are sort of inhibiting the breath in certain ways. And a trained yogi, the breath sort of drives the muscles properly into the pose. This is the doing way, right? Doing it wrong, it inhibits the breath. Doing it right, you use the breath. But being in the pose is a little bit different. A lot different. Come out. There's there's this phase, you can sit for a second. There's this sutra that comes after the sutras on asana. It's the first sutra on pranayama. And the upshot of it is, the purpose of asana is to bring your physical and mental and physiological, psychological self to a place of stability. steadiness and stability. This is the goal of asana, okay? And at which point, that's the next sutra, at which point the breath begins to become even and regular, and it starts becoming pranayamic. Let me see if I can. I moved my books for cleaning. So I'm gonna not hunt for it, but when you achieve a stable asana, the breath becomes pranayamic. That's the next sutra. And what comes after that is you can then begin to manipulate the exhalation and inhalation and prolongation of the pauses in the breath. But there's this transition period where asana shows you your pranic body. Then you can start working with it. So I'm just at that sutra where you're trying to observe your breath in a stable asana. Yeah? See, to see the prana in it, not just the breathing in it. Now.
We need side two. Side two.
Side two. Take side two. Bend your knees to start going in. Make sure that strap is at the top of the standing leg. Left thigh. Also make sure that left leg is vertical, the weight on the back arch, front heel. Don't rock back, way back on that heel. Hand on the hip, hand resting at the wall, hand up in the air. Hand on an extra wall. There's the doing breathing. There's the execution of the pose, getting into a position and adjusting so that you are indeed stable. And once you get there and you start staying, so when you start staying in the pose, you recognize what is stable, what is not, right? Some of you have a very stable leg and hip, but your shoulders, neck aren't stable. Look to the floor if the neck bothers you. From the stability, the prana begins to move. You can become aware of the prana's movement. Come out. Okay, so just prasarita padottanasana, legs apart, forward bent. Those who are stiff, of course, you take support. And if you're quite stiff, I'm just going to turn it sideways so you can see this. If you're quite stiff, you take support under, high support. You can also rest your head on that chair. You can be like this. Now, as the moments pass, let your head down. Those who can, those who can work with the head all the way down and not go mad. All right, those I can see, I'm just going to say, straight, everybody, straighten your arms coming up into that first part of the pose again. Straighten your arms so your spine comes up toward horizontal. Mm-hmm. Arms, if possible, vertical, legs vertical, spine horizontal or thereabouts. Long, straight, neck straight. Don't look at the camera if it makes you bend your neck too much. Just listen. Observe in this pose what's going on with the pelvic breath. Keep an imaginary strap around both top thighs and draw it back as cleanly as you have felt it draw back. So use your own leg action to extend that trunk, to widen the inner thighs and take them back, soften the groins, take the legs back, broaden the back thigh, broaden the back pelvis, broaden the front pelvis, and draw the trunk away from the legs. And when you're in the midst of the strong actions, the breath goes one way, gets restricted, gets pushed, gets pulled. Now, when you've made the space you're creating and you're now abiding there, how does the breath move? In the ribs, in the pelvis. What is the connectivity? Now take the head down. And as you go, observe, there's the doing. And there's the abiding. Now, is the breath the same here than it was when your spine was horizontal? It's different. But can you arrange in this stability, in this stable position, can you arrange for that breath to penetrate as far? Come out slowly, straighten the elbows. If you need to, bring your feet together. If you can, stand up straight. Watch that breath. Bring the feet together and just stand. I don't care if I see your face or not, just stand. Just be in Tadasana. So in ordinary Tadasana, the ones of you I see, your legs are together. That is correct. It really, in Tadasana, we are not very stable. Most of us are rocking a little bit. And gradually we get a better anchor. Or we don't, but hopefully through concentration, focus, stretching the legs equally and evenly, you start becoming more stable. So in your effort toward stability, are you inhibiting the breath? Is your effort to stretch your legs to the floor hardening anything in the breath? Not your quads, not your hamstring. I mean the breath. Now, separate the feet hip width. Sorry, rejoin the legs. I saw that happen and I have to fix it. Many of you separating the legs, you just took one leg to the side. So I want instead for you to move the legs an equal amount each side. So you step out using both legs, not just one. And arrive at feet to hip width parallel. And make your legs and your posture stable. And observe, I mean, you should probably be able to observe right off the bat an alteration in the breath that comes right across the base of the pelvis. But as time passes, how does that evolve? Okay. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing touch your in regular pose. Now, anybody wants to, you can put a strap around your elbows. Otherwise, if that helps give, guess what? Stability to the arms and shoulders that is not otherwise available, you should use it. So that is the goal of asana, to bring stability to all the layers, all the sheaths, all the elements of your body. So take that which brings stability. And do that which brings stability. So you stretch your legs to create room for that prana to occupy all of you. Make sure the distance between the hands and feet is conducive to stability and breath in the pelvic region. So again, there's the doing part and the adjusting part. And you see how your breath creates and interacts with those efforts. When your body gets tired, your breath shows it. When you make an effort to recover, something that's losing its grip, your breath shows it. When your mind loses its grip, your breath shows it. And if you are stable, your breath shows it. come out. So let me say, you don't have to have that realization of stability. You don't have to have, in this kind of class, in this kind of work, your grasp of that feeling of stability might not last long because we move from one pose to another and we do my sequences, not something that's suited to you necessarily. But in every pose, you should always be looking for this. And if you grasp it for like a moment, that leaves an impression. So it's good. All right, now, well, I'd ask you to do a headstand, but I don't think you all do headstand. So instead, I'm going to get you doing a seated pose, Upavishta Konasana. So you get down and maybe you take, I don't have them close, but maybe you take blankets under the hips. You need enough height to be able to sit your spine upright. What do you suppose would be our criteria for sufficiently upright? I'll answer because you're all on mute. But enough stability that the breath in the pelvis starts really expanding and occupying the whole space. So stretch your legs, stretch your feet straight up, not crooked, vertically upright, kneecaps upright, pointing straight up to the ceiling, feet pointing straight up, hamstrings straight down, buttocks down. Your arms can be straight, giving support, because guess what? Support helps stability. Use your posture to adjust your breath. Now, turn to your right, left hand forward, right hand just goes back behind you. And when it goes back behind you, it should bend. That gives you space here. Don't limit or squeeze off space here, however, subtly bend that elbow, open the arm. Now the act of turning makes you feel like only one side of the trunk breathes and the other side gets hardened. Once you're in your position, re-stretch that left leg. Lift the two sides of the trunk. And maintaining the stability of the posture, reorganize the breathing. And come out. To get this, when you turn, in the act of doing, the diaphragm, the side ribs, they get kind of involved. But once you are stable, the breath can redistribute itself. And this is true of the turning in the neck as well as the lower torso. So if you want to keep turning the head, you have to look out for whether both sides of the neck are working evenly. Pain is definitely a limiter, but also just stiffness. Come out. You might need support of blankets. You might need support on sideways of a chair. So this is Upavishta Konasana going forward. If you're flexible, you don't need any of these things. You go to the floor. Inflexible, you take a chair. Or even rest your chin on the chairs. More flexible, you go farther. And you go by stages. If you need to, go by whatever stages you need to. Now, all I will say is keep your legs steady. Hamstrings on the floor, flat. Outer thigh down. Legs extending. You let the legs go soft. There will be an effect on the breathing in that abdomen, if not through muscles, joints, bones. Come up. Slowly. Sit up straight. So you're in this pose. Bend your right knee. So you bend it in such a way that from this knee, where my thumb is pointing, to the big toe, where my other thumb is, you make that line as long as possible. So don't be loose with your foot here. Push out the length of that foot. After doing that, you're pushing toward the toe. And your thigh starts now releasing, reaching toward the knee. And from the knee, you stretch to the toe. Just do that for a little bit. And see if you can increasingly make that effort of the leg independent of any effort in the pelvis. Don't make the pelvis do that stretch. Let the pelvis go. From this hip blade in, let go. Change sides, take that leg out, bend the other leg in. Stretch the length from the knee to the big toe. Get that actively working. To make that stretch, you'll need to activate the outer calf muscle. You have to wake up the outer calf to stretch through to the big toe. And just see the effect of that, then add the work of the thigh. And see how the pelvis sort of tries to participate, but then disengage, make it an action of the leg. And it could easily be that the two sides understand this or interpret this or breathe through these actions differently. One hip responds differently. Come out. Go back to the first side. And turn toward that bent knee. That should be your right knee. The arm that's behind you, the one on me you can't see, it's bent. That elbow is bent. And if need be, you take a brick so you can actually raise your hand. It makes it easier to bend the elbow. If you need more space, take more space. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to reach for the knee itself. You can just stay in front and turn. Extend through the shin, extend through the thigh. Let go the breath in the pelvis. And come back around, facing straight forward. And straighten, and take side two. The idea is bring the heel in close as you would for Siddhasana, which is that two-legged pose. Right? The feet either sit one in front of the other, they start interlocking. It's also is the leg of Janu Shirshasana, but bring it in as close as your knee and hip permit. Stretch, stretch, and turn. Use it. If it helps you keep your height, if it helps you create space. Now that extension through the bent leg thigh, your left thigh, is hopefully going to make it easier for you to ground the right thigh and buttock. Do you get that? If you're lazy with the folded leg, the weight sits toward the folded leg buttock. And if you're active with that leg, the weight starts coming back more even onto your straight leg hip as well. Yes? So does doing that inhibit the breath? At first, it might. If you get all overwrought about the situation, it might inhibit the breath. But spend some time there. Clean up the action of the legs. Redistribute that breath. Out. Stretch both legs. Oh, sorry, first Upavishta. Then Baddha Konasana. And take whatever support helps you do this pose comfortably. I know this is difficult for this pelvis. It tends to get sort of little shrunk by the position. And if you do this without support at first, just get your support ready so we do a comparison. Right? These blankets are near, they're ready for me, but I'm not using them. I'm in Baddha Konasana. I've arranged my knees properly, whatever you need to protect yourself. No support at first beyond the bare floor. Okay? And hold your toes like this with the fingers interlocked perhaps. or in some other symmetrical position, hold those toes and see. Draw that spine up, open the shoulders, try to keep these armpits unsqueezed. Abide here. Extend through those shins toward the other foot. Extend through the thighs toward the knees. Pull on your feet to help support that uplifting trunk. Okay, then take your support, your chosen support. And if it's very high, and for some of you it will be high, you might have to hold your ankles instead of your toes because it, your arms become suddenly short seeming. So if you can still catch your toes or catch your ankles, some of us can use a strap. So once you create this pose with more height, does it change the breath? Maybe. Maybe. Baddha Konasana is a difficult pose to really, feel free in the pelvis. There's a lot of stuff going on to hold you upright. But it's definitely worth the effort. Press the heels, pull the arms, let go the abdomen, the low back. Breathe. Breathe to the kidneys, across the kidney band, and release them. Come help your legs up if that suits you. Now, stretch your legs straight. Are your low backs okay? Because we've, focused on it a lot. And sometimes muscles have tendencies toward tightness or injury, or body parts. They don't always like scrutiny. They don't always like extra work. They tend to get nervous. Now, you've got 2 blankets, maybe 2 bricks. Do you have 2 bricks? Two bricks that will fit together like one brick, like one big brick. And you have blankets. So you take a blanket and we're gonna do Setu Bandha with the knees bent and the knees straight. So the knees bent one is going to have, these 2 bricks should match. Okay, so you're gonna work with 1 brick under your hips for a time. Then you're gonna add a 2nd brick underneath your feet. And if you were so lucky as to have 3 bricks, you would just put 2 bricks, 1 under each foot and 1 underneath your hips. But really, we're very used to doing this with 1 brick under the feet, 1 brick under the hips. Okay, so the idea is to do, all of you pretty much know this, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. So you make that long shin extension that you were just doing, and a long thigh extension. And roll those shoulders down, pick the ribs up, and put that brick underneath your sacrum. Now, if you're doing this classically, I see the cat's in the way. This brick would not go crosswise across your pelvis, but it would go spine-wise, long-wise to your sacrum. And you put it carefully underneath the low end of your sacrum. Let your shoulders release and your heels release to the floor. Keep tucking the shoulder, the triceps toward each other and the biceps away from each other. And as the moments pass and your sacrum settles, keep your knees bent this first time. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor, knees bent. And that, so you come up high on your tippy toes. And Chaya, make sure that your shoulders are on the same height that your head is on. Your head should not be higher than shoulders. And that brick should be tall, tall, not flat. Roll the shoulders. Stretch your arms out behind you. Could interlock your fingers, catch the sticky mat, or interlock your fingers. Now, you know the difference between these two. How would you choose between these two? I'm asking you today to make sure you're doing the one that allows your upper chest, shoulders, neck to be stable enough that the breath can penetrate through and through. So stiffness is an injury is going to inhibit the breath. So you must adjust. Now, is that second block where you need it? If you need to come out, put that second block up so your feet can land on it. Take those feet up. Where is that brick? The pesky second brick. Put it under your feet. You need one brick under your sacrum and one brick under your heels. Now, if you had two bricks under you or something, Chaya, you could put anything, a bolster underneath your heels. But the heels want some elevation. Lift the ribs. Ground the shoulders. Excellent. Yes. Now, turn those blue bricks, Chaya. You have your assistant turn those bricks so they're a bit taller underneath your feet. The next dimension higher. In theory, they go as high as your hips, but if you are comfy, I'll take that. Now stretch your legs. Lift your ribs. There's all this arranging to do at first. And you see how that influences the breathing. Now you are stable. That's the theory. Stable meaning you are comfortable. You can't stay in a pose that's uncomfortable. Keep doing this pose. You got 1 more minute. Keep doing this pose in order to make more of you available to that breath. Every time you inhale, more cells should be flushed with prana. Now, bend your knees, put your feet back on the floor. Let this stabilize. And if that pelvis feels funny, press your feet down, pick your hips up, and use that muscular activity to stabilize. Remove the brick. And when you are ready, take your hips down to the floor. Long spine. Steady breathing. Now, set yourselves in Shavasana. Take head support if you like. If the low back bothers you, you can, of course, put your shins on the seat of a chair and leave your back on the floor, letting that low back be quiet. So now you're in Shavasana. Shavasana, known as corpse pose. And it is named this because there is utterly no doing. This corpse of yours has become like the earth. Given to the earthiness. So it's quite stable as a body that is still living, in fact, can be. So in this very sensitive state, your breath tells you more about the state of your mind, the actions of your mind, than it's telling you about the actions of your body, unless you're in the wrong shavasana and it's painful. So as soon as that mind becomes stable, the in-breath and the out-breath become naturally stable. You even start naturally developing that small pause between the exhalation and the inhalation that follows. It doesn't come by your will. You don't make it happen. It's not something you are doing in any conventional sense. It is a consequence of your stability. It's a reflection of your stability. And the more stable you are, the more rhythmic and steady and even those three parts of the breath are, not just the two. The animals are deciding that class is over, I see. Namaskar. You may stay, of course. You're home. No commute. Thank you. Happy 1st of June. Be safe. There's a lot of ways it's necessary to be safe these days, so be safe in all ways.
You too. Thank you.
Namaskar.